Hi, I'm Jack and welcome back to Real Opinions, and today I'm going to be reviewing Manchester by the Sea. It's just now coming around to being out in the UK, but I did see it a while ago for London Film Festival. Way past the US release, so I don't expect many views on this video, but I thought I'd just take time to talk about it anyway. It's directed by Kenneth Lonergan. I feel like I'm always pronouncing that wrong. It stars Casey Affleck, Michelle Williams, Carl Chandler, and I suppose introducing Lucas Hedges, unless you've seen one of the most recent two Wes Anderson films where he kind of has bit parts in that. But the main story is that it's about Lee Chandler, Casey Affleck's character, being a loner, down and out handyman working in the city, just really keeping to himself and keeping miserable. Like you can just tell right from the beginning that he's wallowing in this sadness. And then he gets the call that his brother has passed away, and now he has to go back to his hometown to do all the arrangements, such as like planning the funeral, what's going to happen to the house, and most importantly, what is now going to happen to his orphaned nephew. And so it sets it up as very much almost like a Lifetime movie, if you get what I mean. Like, it's a guy that's very sad, lonely, teenager that's now lost his only father figure, his only parent, and in a way lesser movie it'd be very cheesy and just, oh, they help each other pick up the pieces of their own lives and stuff like that. And that is sort of the case in this film. However, the way that it was sold to me is that it's very, very depressing, but in a good way. And I wouldn't say that especially, like it's not a film that I'd go in rewatch just to feel weepy or anything like that. It's less of a sad film and more of a film about sadness, if that makes sense. I think it's easier to talk about it if I break it down to the sum of its parts, and then through the individual parts I can compare it to what it does better than most typical films that would be trying the same sort of story. So, actors. The acting in this film is really, really great. If I had to put money on it, definitely an Oscar nomination at least for Casey Affleck, but if I had to put money on it, I would say him winning. Michelle Williams is great as a supporting actress. Carl Chandler, great as supporting actor. Lucas Hedges, not incredible. When he's just playing a teenager, he's very good, but when he has to come to the very emotional scenes, the breakdowns feel like someone acting out a breakdown, which was one or two scenes of this film, and it didn't scream he's a bad actor to me. It just seemed like he just had a lot to work on in the future, and he didn't bring down the film in any way, and in many ways you can kind of allow it to slip, sort of, just because he's a teenager. And that, I'm not saying that you can excuse bad acting because he himself is a teenager, but he's playing as well a rather volatile teenager, and so I suppose you could allow some leeway for this change in action when it comes to the sadder scenes. But I felt like it was a dip in quality in those moments, and all this acting really helps cement what I think is the main selling point of this film, which is the characters. None of the scenes are remarkably incredibly well written. Like, you don't sit back and think this is a well written script. You just think it does very well at selling its characters and just letting the actors play out the characters. Like, when they're interacting with one another, it doesn't feel like this is a scene with these two people, this is a scene with these two people. It just feels like you're getting a look into life as it's progressing for these characters, and I think that's very essential. A lot of it's really withheld with their characters, and yet you still feel incredibly attached to them. Like, when it starts off with Casey Affleck, he's, like I said, he's got dead eyes. Like, he's just a million-yard stare right off the bat, and for the beginning you're kind of, for me anyway, I was thinking, this is like great acting, but I don't feel like I can empathise with him being so distant and being an arsehole because he's distant. And as time goes on and you learn to, not only because you learn his past, but also just through the way in which he does slightly, occasionally you'll see the character's guard go down or something like that, or he'll react slightly differently to how you expect, and it's just these little things that draw you in all the more, and make you believe that they're real, and in a way. And I think that was by far the best bit of this film. It's just that I think it's 2.5 hours long, but it felt way shorter than a lot of the films that I've seen this year, and it's just because it was just like sitting and watching a normal conversation in some ways. And so for some people, they're not going to like that. They're going to want more of a action or more heavy on the drama. No, I just really liked that. It just felt like they really let a lot of scenes just breathe, and I think while it doesn't add to the drama, it makes you more invested in the characters, which long term I think makes it more memorable. Story-wise, it's good. Wouldn't go so far as to say great, in that, like I said from the beginning, it's very paint by numbers. It's more just, it's a good story directed brilliantly, is how I would put it. I could talk about the cinematography. Cinematography is good. It's not flashy, but that's exactly what they're going for with this film. It's very patient, very slow cinematography and editing as well. And I think they're just, while I won't expect it to get any nominations, it did its job perfectly for what the film that it was trying to be. And I think they lent it to, like I said, just getting you even more involved in the film and learning, feeling like Manchester was even more of a believable place that actually really exists, that all these people are really in. My lesser points for this film are definitely the bits where it tries to be dramatic. There are one or two scenes of this film where if you were to write it out on paper to someone as this is what's happening, like a Wikipedia synopsis of those scenes, they would look at that and they say that that's dramatic, that's sad, and that's enough to sell it. What is happening is enough to sell it. However, film for these moments, it over amplifies the dramatic, and it feels like it's almost overcompensating. Like they bring in this classical music, this kind of operatic music that really bellows out at you, and it almost like drowns out the voices. And I get what it's kind of saying, that it's supposed to kind of show like his mental state, and that for a lot of the moments like the music's kind of quiet or background, and then as the sadder moments wash over him, you're kind of lost in this music. But it just felt very overly dramatic and very pretentious at times. I just wanted it to let the scenes play out, just like it was doing in the smaller moments. I just wanted to keep experiencing it in that same way. And when you were having these very raw emotional moments, I think if it just had the same patience that it did in the smaller moments, it would have actually created much more tension and brought you much more into these incredibly sad moments. So I was more invested in the scenes where two people were just talking, as opposed to the core scenes of this film. And I think that's a issue with it. I definitely think so. As I said, mostly that's from the music, in that it drowns out the voices completely. Like it just means that you can't focus on it really. Yeah, and I thought also the ways in which these one or two more dramatic scenes were presented as well didn't really lead itself as well as other scenes. Overall, if you're looking for a drama to go see in the cinema, I'd thoroughly recommend it. It's worth your time, and I don't know, if you have any other points that I may have not considered, please write in the comments. It's really great getting comments. You can reach us anywhere on social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of here. We have the podcast going up semi-weekly. It's whenever we get them done. Great, that's Real Opinions. Thank you for watching.